Presence is asking, what factors help you get more deep sleep? I can answer myself. Actually getting close to Earth as possible, like sleeping outside in a tent or in a cabin in the woods next to ocean usually worked really well as blocking out modern technology and blue light in the evening. So what else? How about Anthony?
Sure. For myself and for, I mean, we've had now dozens of clients see 300 to 400% improvements in deep sleep and REM sleep. Certain people tend to struggle more with deep sleep. Certain people tend to struggle more with REM sleep. And what the four factors that we've seen have a huge impact. I'm going to touch on the four factors that haven't been discussed like 10,000 times over, that everyone that's listening is probably well aware of. But the ones that we've seen have a huge impact: mold remediation. And this goes hand in hand with reducing EMF. Specifically, when people are having issues with deep and REM sleep, they often need to go from Wi-Fi to Ethernet to really optimize the amount of deep and REM sleep that they're experiencing. So it's not enough to just unplug your Wi-Fi at night or be conscientious about how you're using technology. They usually need to make a full switch. And there's a really interesting study that came out showing the connection between mold and your electromagnetic environment. It showed that when mold was exposed to non-native EMF, there was a 600x increase in biotoxin production. Wow. So what we're seeing is that by decreasing the amount of mold in your environment, you're only addressing a part of the issue. It needs to go hand in hand. There needs to be mold remediation along with a substantial decrease in the radiation, the microwave radiation that you're exposed to. So by going from Wi-Fi to Ethernet and then remediating the mold, we kind of get that 1-2 punch in play that helps a lot of people. Along with that, there's a connection between, as you guys know, there's a resonance effect here where as human beings, we tend to synchronize with the dominant external stimulus. And this same resonance is occurring in the viral, bacterial, parasitic, and fungal pathogens that make up our biome, right? And some of these pathogens can interfere with deep and REM sleep, particularly when they're in an unnatural environment. So we've seen kill protocols that are natural and some prescription protocols for decreasing pathogen load, bacterial, viral, and parasite, have a significant improvement in deep and REM sleep that the individuals undergoing them experience. Those are some of the biggest ones. And then you've got, don't eat too close to bed, make sure your room is black and cold, and all of those sorts of things. You can add CBD, you can add 5-HTP, depending on where your neurotransmitters are at, and those things will give you a boost. But the environment, EMF, kill protocols, and mold are three of the biggest that are overlooked and not addressed in the dozens of books on sleep. Getting nature, all that sort of thing.
Wow.
How about CM?
Yeah, those are really good tips, and those are probably one of the biggest ones that people don't even think about, like mold and EMF. But I would maybe add cortisol and stress to the mix as well. So I would imagine most people are sympathetically dominant, and they are experiencing too much stress, especially around their bedtime. So yeah, definitely making sure you're not overstimulated by things like blue light or even entertainment and social media. Those things psychologically can wire you up as well. But even if the stress is more physical, then that has to do with looking at the overall daily routine and daily schedule. Even if you are, let's say, over caffeinating in the earlier parts of the day, then that will have effect, or it's going to impact your deep sleep in the night. So yeah, making sure that you don't expose yourself to overworking, too much random stressors, and even if you are, let's say, too stressed out by the end of the day, then taking some sort of adaptogens or some herbal teas, something just to calm yourself down, that can really be very useful for just, psychologically as well as physically preparing for going into deep sleep.
Yeah, this is huge. And Sim kind of reminded me of something that I think is important to address. When our sleep is off and we're not recovering adequately, either due to a lack of deep sleep, a lack of REM sleep, or any combination thereof, it can lead to this situation where then we have to over-caffeinate, or we have to go to certain stimulants, Adderall, Ritalin, these being increasingly popular, right? And we see this domino effect where now you have people who are probably already chronically sympathetic dominant. They're like in fight or flight all of the time. And because their sleep sucks and they need to get shit done, they're then over caffeinating and they're using prescription drugs that's further exacerbating this state of chronic fight or flight, chronic sympathetic dominance. Now, what do we know if we're in Africa and we're being chased by a lion? Our bodies doesn't give a shit about digesting our food well. Digest is something that by definition occurs in parasympathetic, right? So now you have people who biologically their cells believe that they are being chased by a lion all day, every day. We see decreased blood flow to the gut because they're saying, all right, I don't care if you can digest your food. You need that blood flow going to your brain and your muscles so that you can think about how you're going to get out of this situation. You can fight or you can flee, right? So we see decreased stomach acid production, decreased enzymes, other issues like intestinal permeability. That's a slight deviation from this current conversation, but there's no surprise that digestive issues are becoming epidemic, right? And then on top of that, what else happens when we're in parasympathetic? Detoxification. So it creates this scenario where chronic sympathetic dominance leads to suboptimal digestion, suboptimal detoxification. Are we really exposed to way more toxins now, or are we just detoxifying less effectively? We don't know. People will tell you they know, but they don't know. And these are important things to consider. We got to unwind all that shit if we want to get back into optimal daily performance.
Body-mind empowerment.
Get stronger, faster, smarter, quicker, friendlier, more helpful, more driven.
Everything the body needs.
Control your mind.